Hi everyone, welcome back to Grounded Haven Homestead. My name is Michelle and today I'm going to be giving you the very first tour of our vegetable garden. If you're new here, we are located in Virginia in the US and we are in gardening zone 7A. It is mid-April right now, so we're still at the beginning of our gardening season. So not everything's going to be filled in today, but I'd say about half of the garden is planted out now. I believe we have already had our last frost. We might still have a late one, but I think that maybe last week we've had our last frost. So I've planted a lot of stuff out in the garden and I've just held off on some of the warm weather vegetables that I've started. I'm gonna wait a few more weeks for that to make sure that we don't have a late frost that kills them. We have a mix of raised beds and in-ground beds here. So let me take you around and show you what we have going on. So I'm gonna start with the raised beds that are in the front here. And I'll just go over the left side quickly because we don't have too much going on here yet. But in this first bed, I have transplanted some beets along the borders of this bed. I have some golden beets on this side, and on the other side, I have red beets. I've also direct sown some cucumbers here because we do have a trellis here, so I'm thinking that the cucumbers are going to climb up that trellis. This is just some tulip foliage, so that's not any vegetables. I'm going to take that out soon. In the next bed, we have a little bit of garlic. This is actually our second garlic bed because on the other side, we have more garlic here. I'll go over that one later, but I believe the garlic on this bed is the soft neck garlic. And I had also transplanted my shallots along the edge of the bed, and also just in that little space over there. In between, in this area, I have direct sown some edamame, but that has not come up yet. The next bed is pretty empty, I believe. The only thing really that I have going on is some red veined sorrel over here. I had also direct sown some English shelling peas along the base of this cattle panel trellis, but only one of them came up. I got really bad germination on that pack of seeds. I have another area where I also sowed them, and yeah, I just didn't get good germination on those. Then in the last bed on this side, in the first half of the bed right here, I have some leeks. And I did transplant those in a video, and they've grown a pretty good amount. They're still a little bit on the small side, but they've definitely gotten taller, and the holes that I put them in that were pretty deep before have all filled in now. And then on the other side of the bed, I have a line of radishes here. Those are just starting to bulb up, so I'm making sure that I water really nicely so we get some nice radishes that are not pithy on the inside. And behind those, I did also sow some carrots. Those are all just starting to come up. I sowed those at the same time as the radishes, and you can really just see how much faster the radishes grow. We're probably only like a week or so away from harvest, whereas the carrots just came up. So now I'm gonna start back at the front, going down the other side of the raised bed garden. In this first bed, we have a lot going on here because this is kind of like my spring greens bed. On the end here, I have lots of kale that is looking so good. This is actually like a flat of kale that I overwintered in the greenhouse, and I just transplanted the entire flat in here, and it is looking really good. I have not really been harvesting from it yet, but I am going to come and do a nice good harvest of this very soon, and I'll probably do like an entire spring harvest video, so that's going to be coming up next week because this kale is looking so good. This is I think a Siberian kale, and then I have another kale back here. This is like a blue dinosaur kale. These ones I did start from seed in the spring and transplanted in the spring, so that's why they are a little bit smaller than these guys, but they are still doing really nicely. Next to that, I have some bok choy, but the bok choy is not looking very good. It does have a good amount of slug damage, which is kind of unfortunate. And I also did notice that some of them are beginning to bolt because we have had like a really weird spring. It's been very dry, and we've also had some like pretty extreme heat and also cold weather. So I think like all those fluctuations along with the heat has been a little bit stressful for the bok choy. So unfortunately, it's not really a good year for that, but we'll try that again in the fall and hopefully it does a little better. And then in the last part of this bed, I have some other miscellaneous brassicas. I have some kohlrabi here, I have one cabbage plant here, and then I also have my Chinese broccoli over here. So here's the full bed of garlic that we have on this side of the garden. I believe this entire bed is all chestnut red hardneck garlic, which we have been growing for a few years now. So this garlic we planted in the fall, I believe in October or November. and hardneck garlic will produce scapes in the spring. I haven't seen that yet on these, but they should be coming pretty soon. So I'm just keeping an eye on them for the next few weeks so I can see when they start developing those scapes, because that's a really nice spring treat. I've also fertilized in the spring with another dose of granular fertilizer, and then added some manure to top it off as well, so it gets some new nutrients for the spring, and I think the garlic is looking really good. Then in the next bed we have planted potatoes in here. I think we have pretty much all Kennebec potatoes, which are a russet potato, and you can see that they are all popping out of the ground here now, which is really exciting. We're gonna probably let them grow for another couple of weeks, and then we'll top this bed off with more soil to make sure these are covered up so that we get a better potato yield. Oh, and it looks like I also have some volunteer cilantro, because I had a really nice thick line of cilantro around here in the fall going into the spring. So I'm just gonna let that grow because I could use some more cilantro for the spring. And speaking of volunteer cilantro, I have it all in the pathways here as well, which I am just letting grow. And look at this volunteer cilantro that is in this pathway. It is amazing, getting really tall. I should mention this is actually not good for eating anymore because it's starting to bolt. You can see that it's getting really tall and it has like that thicker stem here. That's how you know it's going to seed, and it is going to start flowering very soon. And I'm letting it flower because I want to save the seeds on this cilantro. I actually saved the seeds from our homegrown cilantro last fall and replanted it, and I feel like that cilantro did not bolt as quickly. And I have heard that over the years, as you save seeds, that does happen because the plants adapt to your climate. So I'm hoping that that happens again, and by saving the seeds over and over again, I'll get cilantro that grows really well for us, and it seemed to do really well in the spring. So yeah, I'm letting that go to seed. I have it all in the pathways here. I'll probably have to get rid of some of these because like I have too many, but I like this little cilantro bush here. Oh, and on the other side of this bed, on this arched trellis, here's a little look at the arched trellis from far away, by the way. This is just made with T-posts and a cattle panel. So yeah, at the base on this side of this trellis, I had sown a bunch of peas all down the base of this, and I only had 2 plants come up and they're looking pretty small, so that was a little bit of a fail. Ignore the mess in the pathway. Yes, this is from like 1 month ago when I was transplanting the green stalk up, and I threw these supports on the ground and have not picked it up since. Because generally you can't see it in the videos, and if you don't see it in the videos, I just leave it there because I'm that kind of person. And since I'm going over my little green stalk mess, I guess I will also go over the green stalk, which I think is looking really nice since I have transplanted it up. The lettuce is growing nicely. I have not harvested from this yet. I'm still giving it a couple of weeks before I start picking, and then it's going to be really good as like baby salad greens, and then in another few weeks hopefully it will be good as heading lettuce. I also have some strawberries on these upper layers. The spinach is definitely looking bigger. The bottom tier is still empty right now. I think what I've decided is I'm gonna put my summer savory and sweet marjoram in 4 of these pockets, and then I'll just have 2 other ones to fill up, which I'll have to see. Maybe I'll just fill it up with all herbs down there. These 2 smaller beds in the middle, we do have some blueberry bushes in them. They're not all looking the best. This one has barely started growing, but this blueberry bush is a little bit older. I don't remember what varieties they are, so sorry, but we've had these ones for a few years now. And underneath that blueberry bush is this wild mess of oregano, which I definitely have to come harvest and trim back because you can see it's like almost halfway up the blueberry bush and it's gonna start to choke it out. So I'm gonna come out and harvest a bunch of this and dry it. And I'm honestly kind of astounded that the oregano has taken over the bed like this. I don't even think it started as like a plant that we planted in here. There was just oregano growing nearby. And when we brought this blueberry bush over to this bed, the oregano just like hitched a ride, and then it just like completely overtook this bed. There was actually more here. It was covering the entire bed, and I've already taken some of it out. We also have a maple tree growing in here, which I will take out. So yeah, the oregano was taking over this entire bed, and I did have strawberries in here that it was smothering, so I probably have another one under there somewhere that has now been smothered to death. So yeah, I need to come and tame this wild oregano bush. And this last bed on this side is very similar to what we have going on on the other side. So in this first half of the bed, we have another variety of leeks. And then in the other half of the bed, I have sown 2 lines of radishes on this side. I did also direct sow, I think, like a butternut squash here in the corner. So hopefully that's going to be coming up soon, and the plan is to just let it vine all over in this area. Then on this long side bed, we have some snap peas growing along here. Sorry, they're actually snow peas, not snap peas. Those are looking really good. They have gotten pretty nice and tall. They're starting to climb up the trellis. And once these get going in the spring, they're gonna grow like inches every day. So really fun to see something grow so quickly. We've got a few perennials in between. We have garlic chives here, and my hyssop is coming back. Other than that, not too much going on here. To the side, we also have a line of berry bushes. I don't show this very often, but I just thought I would show it really quickly. We have these really bushy ones are the blackberries, and then we also have some raspberries in between, although those are looking pretty sparse. But I did notice that these blackberry plants are looking really nice and healthy, and there are lots of flower buds forming, which is really great because that means that we will hopefully get lots of berries. Now for the back part of our garden. On this side here behind me, this is our row of brassicas, and also we direct sowed some squash, but that was just a few days ago, so the squash is not up yet. If you are a subscriber of the channel, you know the drama that has happened over the past couple of weeks with this row, but so far the transplants are doing well. If you missed those videos and all that drama, go ahead and watch those videos. It was the previous few ones on the channel. But yeah, I'm happy to report that the brassicas are doing very well. Then in the next row, half of the bed is empty right now, and then in the very back, I have my onions transplanted there, and those are doing really well. I'm definitely very happy with how the onions have been growing. I can tell that they have gotten a lot thicker since I have transplanted them. These are all onions that I started from seed in mid-January, I believe, and then I transplanted these out mid-March, somewhere around there. So they've been in the ground for about a month now, and they're looking really good. I have a few varieties of onions here. I have a yellow, a red, and a white. Then in this third row, this is our asparagus row, and we've got lots of action around here lately. You can see all of those asparagus spears coming up. We've harvested just a handful so far, but it looks like we are getting into like peak asparagus season, which is really awesome. I'm not sure why, but we have a lot of skinny stalks this year. Last year we definitely had a lot of thicker ones. I'm not sure if these are new plants that have like reseeded, or if we just need to fertilize a little more here. I'm not sure, but this one here is like a really nice size. This asparagus patch was established by the previous owner. I'm not sure how long it was here before we moved in, but I feel like it was pretty new. If it was here maybe like the year before we moved in, this would be maybe like its 5th year. So very well established, so we just go ahead and pick all of the ones that are a good size for eating. And along the sides of this bed, I had also transplanted in lots of strawberries going all along the sides of the asparagus. You can see that those are starting to flower right now. These were all plants that I took from existing plants that we had when they put off their runners and rerooted. Like in the pathways, I would dig those up and slowly just add to this row little by little. So it's not completely filled in right now. You can see probably the most established plants are here where I transplanted first. And then as we go on, there are not as many here. So as I dig up more runners, I just keep adding them to this row. You can see I've made a little bit of progress weeding the violets, but I'm not sure how long that's going to last before my back gives in. So yeah, you can see spots where I've weeded, spots where I haven't, but you know what, I'm okay with it. So now on the other side of our back garden, there honestly is not too much going on here right now. A lot of the spaces I do have planned for our warm weather vegetables, and I have also direct sown a lot of things, but none of that has popped up yet, so I'm not going to show you spots with just like bare soil. But some things we do have going on here are some potatoes that have started peeking their heads out of the soil, and things that I've direct sown are lots of different kinds of beans. So I have some bush beans here, some edamame, and also some climbing beans for drying. So those are just a few things that we have that are underneath the ground and hopefully will be germinating soon. As I mentioned before, it has been really dry around here. So part of the reason the space is so empty is because I've been waiting for a really good rain to plant a lot of things. I don't think we've had rain in like 3 or 4 weeks, and this dirt is basically like sand at this point. It is so dry. I've started just watering it even though there's not much going on in it, just because I'm trying to like rehydrate the soil right now. But when the soil is this dry and crumbly, it's really hard to work with. And obviously seeds are not going to germinate in that because it just is not moist enough for it. So I'm really hoping that it rains around here soon because we could really use it to get the garden started. And yeah, it's just been a really weird spring weather-wise around here. Since a lot of stuff is going into the garden now, I have not been letting the chickens out to free range because I don't want them digging up all of my beds, eating my seeds and all of my plants. But I have wanted them to have access to fresh grass, so I rigged up just a little temporary pen here for them. You can see they're all out now and enjoying this little patch of grass. And all I did was I put up some old chicken wire that we had, and it's just held up with like tomato stakes and garden stakes that I've malleted into the ground. It's a really janky setup, and it's kind of meant to be because I don't want this to be a permanent fence. I just want the chickens to have access to grass. And as they eat down this grass, I'm going to kind of like change where I put the fencing. So maybe I'll have it go a little bit farther back or a little farther up and just have them be on like a different area of grass, hopefully every few weeks or so. That's kind of my plan because we do really enjoy watching them peck around in the grass. You can actually see we have a chair back there because a lot of evenings we just sit out here and just watch them eat the grass. It just brings us so much joy. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. You can see they actually do have a very sizable run in here, but you can see the difference in the grass. There is no grass in their run. And I really wanted them to have access to the fresh grass. Not only does it make them happier, but it really does make their eggs taste better. Especially in the spring, now that they're getting lots of grass and bugs. I swear their eggs are just like so amazing. I cannot get enough of them. And they are just so happy to be out on the grass, and that makes us happy. This is the chick that one of our hens hatched out naturally last year. And she is half Americana and half Barred Rock. I think she's so cute, and we named her Luna. And then one of the other chicks is here. He's now our rooster, and we named him Chip. And this is the amazing mother hen who incubated and raised them. Her name is Pretty Girl. So the very last area I want to share is our little greenhouse behind me. We do have some beds on the sides in the front that have our strawberries in them. And then I'm also just going to give you another little seedling update and show you how our seedlings are doing, since it's been a few weeks since I've shared them and they have grown quite a bit. So here are some of the strawberry plants. They have been getting really nice and big, and you can see that they are flowering now. And we even have little baby berries forming, so it's going to be strawberry season very soon around here. And then in the greenhouse, here is what we have going on right now. In this flat, I have a lot of flowers. I have calendula back here, some sweet alyssum, dara, and this is chamomile here. This is more flowers in this flat. I have bee balm, asters, gomphrena, coleus, and at the very end I have some zinnias here. I have a flat of things that I've pretty much all transplanted. I think this was mostly lettuce that I put in the green stock, and then I just have a few romaine lettuces that were too small before, so I think I will pop those into one of the remaining pockets. This is the flat of tomatoes that I think is really a lot bigger since the last time I've shown it. The tomato plants have gotten so tall. I'm very happy to see that. They're a little bit in rough condition, some of the leaves, because it did get really hot in here one day. I think it was like pushing 100 degrees in here. When it gets really sunny, the greenhouse can get really hot because we don't have the shade cloth up on it yet. So a little bit of like either burning or other kind of stress, but it's going to be totally fine. They will completely bounce back, and they're going to be going in the ground soon anyway. My lemongrass is also looking wonderful. Then I have my peppers here. They're looking pretty nice. Just a tiny bit on the small side, but I'd rather them be a little bit smaller than too big and flowering too early, so I'm okay with that. As long as they look healthy, I am fine. Oops, sorry. This is flipped to the other side, so none of those tags were right, but on this side you can see all of the different varieties of peppers we have here. My eggplant seedlings, for some reason, are not looking that great. I'm hoping that it's just a little bit of burning or something else and that they will bounce back. The fresh leaves are looking pretty good, so hopefully they will hang in there, but definitely not my best showing of seedlings, that's for sure. These are the herbs that I'm going to transplant in the green stock, and then in this back one here I have all my basils that are looking really nice. I should come in and pinch these soon actually. For my basil, I like to come in and pinch usually after the second set of leaves. I'll just like take the very tops off and pinch it off like that. And that way the seedlings will branch off and produce a stronger plant. It smells really good right now. Actually, I am about to make a pizza for dinner, so I think I'm gonna pinch off some of these little Genovese basil plants. It might be like a little early to pinch them, but I think just the tips will be fine, and then I can top our pizza with that because I think that sounds so good. I started some melons in here. I have things like cantaloupe, honeydew, and watermelons. Those are all coming up now. And then these are just some of the flowers that I've separated out. So that was going to be it for the April garden tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing these garden tours probably once a month for the rest of the season. So please subscribe if you want to see more of the garden and watch everything as it grows. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.